Mixing can be a real challenge, but I've discovered that using the right tools makes all the difference. In this video, I'll show you how I use iZotope Neutron to bring clarity and balance to my tracks. This is Alex from Alex Pro Mix. Let's go! Hey, what's up guys? This is Alex from Alex Pro Mix. In this video, I'm going to show you one of my favorite plugins from iZotope, which is called Neutron. They've added some amazing new modules, such as my favorite, Density and Clipper. But before I go any further, let's check out this track. Here we go.
I can't stop thinking about worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario. You keep ignoring my calls and I'll be screaming at walls of like I'm Jericho. Worst case.
All right, cool. So the mix sounds good already. The stems have been processed by production. And what we're going to use Neutron by iZotope to enhance this mix even more. Here we go. Let's go ahead and listen to it. And I'm going to identify a couple of things in the mix that I want to enhance. So let's play it.
I can't stop thinking about worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst.
Cool. So the first thing that stands out to me are the backing vocals, which are these guys right here.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo.
Okay, and Neutron offers a couple of modules that allow you to enhance vocals. One of them is the Sculptor, which is this one right here. Now, this does come with presets, so when I'm working on voice, I typically go to voice vocals and then dial this up.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case.
And as you can see by the frequency curve, it's cutting out some of the lows. So it's kind of taming the lows, especially the amount of lows that are here on the stem. The other thing that I want to do is I want to experiment with the density module. The density module is a sort of upwards compressor where it turns the low level information up. And one of my favorite settings is to increase the range all the way and set the ratio to 1.1. And then you're barely going to see this move.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo.
I like to use that on the mix bus. We'll see if we have time to do that in this video, but let's increase it a little bit more for effect.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario. You keep ignoring my calls and I'll be screaming at walls of like I'm Jericho. Worst case scenario. If I someone.
Okay, another thing that I want to do is that I want to make them wider, so there's a width parameter here.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your.
A little bit goes a long way. And lastly, let's saturate it. So what I want to do is use the exciter. We'll create 3 bands. We'll click learn.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring.
Parks the crossover points right there. And I just want to saturate the high end.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario. Keep ignoring my calls and I'm screaming at walls of like I'm Jericho. Worst case scenario.
These are the backing vocals without.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up.
And after.
Worst case scenario. We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario.
That helps to cut through on small speakers. There are some cool guitar parts here. Let's find them. Cool, so let's use Neutron 5 to saturate that. And for that, I'm gonna go straight to the exciter, which we saw previously here on the vocals. And let's see if we can apply some of these presets here. So I'm looking for something crunchy. There's a crunchy lead. Let's check that out. That's okay, let's see what else we have. Let's try saturated mid-range. I think I'm gonna go with that one.
On the part and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario. You keep ignoring my calls and I'm screaming at walls of like I'm Jericho. You want.
So Neutron offers an assistant view that analyzes your track and gives you a suggested starting point. This is sort of a machine learning type of tool. And you'll see machine learning in other plugins from other manufacturers. You're starting to see that more and more, which is a really cool tool for being able to have a starting point. So I'm going to click on this, solo the track, hit play, and it's going to come up with a preset, a personalized preset for me. And there it is. There was definitely a volume jump, but let's see what it did. So it gave a little boost of EQ, some sculptor. I wouldn't boost around 100, so let me tame that down. Yeah, so this crossover basically removes or filters out any area that you don't want to have applied by the sculptor. Good. What else? Compressor, density, and exciter. I think that sounds fine. I think the volume might be a little bit loud, so I'm going to watch these meters here to the right. And there's two meters. There's the top one, which is a peak, and then the bottom one, which is the RMS. Whenever you're trying to level match, go by the RMS, not the peak. Okay, let's go to the obvious, which is going to be the drums, and see what we can do to enhance that. Sounds sick already, but let's see if we can improve that even more. So we'll add the clipper. One thing that I appreciate about iZotope plugins is the delta function, and this basically highlights or isolates the effect that the processor is doing. For example, if you're using a limiter and you're starting to get some digital clips or digital clipping, you might not be able to detect that right away. But by pressing the delta button, it highlights or isolates that for you. And that's the case here. So I'm gonna click delta, and let's bring down the threshold until we start hearing the clipping applied to the drum stem. There it is, without it. So this is without the clipper. With the clipper. And it's very, very hard to hear this delta because the module itself is pretty transparent unless you crush it, which we're not going to do right now. So the delta helps you in that sense that it allows you to hear or isolate what the processor is actually doing. And then you can adjust how much processing you want to apply. Cool, so clipper is in place. One thing that I like to do with drums is put a clipper and then EQ with saturation because it gives you a different effect and feel. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I do that a lot with mastering. I do that a lot with Ozone 11. So we'll apply EQ, hit saturate, delta, and then hunt down those frequencies. Yeah, so that boom, that boost is definitely saturating, and we can hear it by delta, and because the saturate button is on, and because we're clipping the signal before the EQ. That gives nice air to it. That's gonna give it smack. All right, let's go ahead and hear it all together. That's it. Bypass. That sounds cool. This sounds exciting.
Last night, I saw my phone away into a brand new fight. You calling me some names that I did not like. I'm calling you some names that don't feel so nice, but that's just life, yeah.
Okay, cool. There's some other stuff here like a bell or some kind of percussive in sound. So for this, before I actually apply Neutron, let me go ahead and put some verb on that. So since we're doing a iZotope workflow, we'll add neo verb. And let's just check what the default setting sounds like. I think that's fine. Let's check that out with the drums. Nice. Let's go ahead and see what we can do to crunch this even more. So again, I'm going to do this all manual, which is going to be, I'm not going to use the assistant. I'm going to apply my own processing based on what I hear and what I want to feel. So clipper, let's apply delta so we can hear what it's doing. Some aggressive clipping. Oh, that's cool. So what happens is that we kind of shave off the transients there using the clipper, and we get all the tone that we want. Now let's increase that even further by using an exciter. Starting to sound like an EDM track. Let's go to trash. Okay, that's definitely too much, so let's go ahead and bring the mix down. Let's play with the drums. That's interesting. All right, let's go ahead and hear that with the track.
Worst case scenario, we end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario, you keep ignoring my calls and I'll be screaming at walls of black and Jericho. Worst case scenario, you find someone that you want and you'll be keeping me caught up on your merry-go.
Okay, so I'm gonna play all that back in a minute, but let me do one more thing, which is going to be applying Neutron 5 across the mix bus. You're like, hey Alex, there's ozone for that. I know, but bear with me here. All right, Neutron 5. One of the things that I've been doing a lot in my mixes is using the density module to kind of ride the volume of the track. And for that, again, I'm going to go 1-to-1 ratio, range all the way up, which is 20 dB. And then you're going to see this. This thing just riding the volume of the mix.
Worst case scenario, we end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo.
I can also increase the width, which is something I typically do.
Worst case scenario, we end up falling apart
and let's go ahead and do that one trick, which is using the clipper and then EQ and seeing what we can do to make this track louder. So delta. There we go. And EQ, equalizer, saturate delta. I don't want that. I want a low shelf.
Worst case scenario, we end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario, you keep ignoring my calls and I'll be screaming at walls of black and Jericho. Worst case scenario, you find someone that you want and you'll be keeping me caught up on your merry-go. But that's the worst case scenario. But that's the worst case scenario.
Okay, and these should be like very minimal, like, you know, almost a dB. And again, I do this stuff all the time with ozone, but the fact that you have the same type of processors here is pretty cool. And why not a limiter? There we go. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and check out everything before and after. So what I'll do is I'll bypass the plugin, and you guys are going to see that reflected here on the mixer when everything's grayed out. And then I'll put it back on, and you guys should be able to hear the difference, the A-B before and after. Here we go.
We end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario, you keep ignoring my calls and I'll be screaming at walls of black and Jericho. Worst case scenario, you find someone that you want and you'll be keeping me caught up on your merry-go. But that's the worst case scenario. But that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, so right away I felt the mix just open up. It didn't sound so congested, especially the low end and the clarity on the drums and the bass. And I want to do one more thing, because I did talk about doing some creative mixing stuff. So let's check out this outro right here.
Worst case scenario, we end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up.
That sounds like the song demo idea recorded on an iPhone. I don't know, but that's what it sounds like. And what I want to do is I want to do two things. I want to see what it would sound like if we saturate this. And then I want to see what it would sound like if we play around with the width. All right, so I think the first one, well, let's go ahead and add an exciter. Here we go. And let's just dabble around and move this thing around and see what interesting colors we get.
Worst case scenario, we end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario, you keep ignoring my calls and I'll be screaming at walls of black and Jericho. Worst case scenario, you find someone that you want, you keeping me caught up on your merry-go. That's the worst case.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I want to do is I want to automate this XY parameter. And for that, I'm going to go into Pro Tools and find it. There we go. And let's go ahead and automate that. Here we go.
Worst case scenario, we end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario, you keep ignoring my calls and I'll be screaming at walls of black and Jericho. Worst case scenario, you find someone that you want, you keeping me caught up on your merry-go. That's the worst case scenario. That's the worst case scenario.
All right, cool. So that's it right there. Let's go ahead and play it back. All right, and the second thing I want to do is I want to basically start wide and then go narrow. So let's go here again and find, I think it's this one, the width. There we go. And for that, let's just go ahead and go into the lane, automation lane and Pro Tools width. We'll start off with a high parameter. I don't know, let's try like 50. And then over time, this will come down to basically nothing. Nothing. Basically mono. All right, here we go. So this is the automation taking place at the very, very end. It's going to be the saturation. Let's go ahead and increase the drive a bit. And then the width. Here we go. Let's check it out.
Worst case scenario, we end up falling apart and I'll be pouring my heart up on your stereo. Worst case scenario, you keep ignoring my calls and I'll be screaming at walls up like a merry-go. Worst case scenario, you find someone that you want, you'll be keeping me caught up on your merry-go. That's the worst case scenario. That's the worst case scenario.
Cool. And that's it. Obviously, that could be adjusted even further. But the whole point is to be able to create some creative mixing effects or creative mixing colors and expressions inside of the mix. All right, guys, so that's all the time that we have for this video. My name is Alex from Alex Pro Mix. If you found this video useful, I invite you to subscribe, like, and share. Also, I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below. Thanks again so much for watching. Till next time. Peace.